Let's have a look at adding some text to an After Effects composition. The tools are very similar to those that you'll find inside of Photoshop or After Effects. Let's take a look at adding text to an After Effects composition. The tools you'll find are very similar to Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop. If you open up Text End, you'll see the end state goal here. We're going to add the words Inferno Grill and a backdrop. Let's open things up. To start, I'll select the text tool, and then I can click and drag to define a box for area text. There we go. Let's type in Inferno, hard return, grill. Now you should see the ability to control your text here on the right. If needed, set this to fit so it zooms correctly. You can use any font that you want. I'm just going to keep this simple and work with one you probably have installed, which is Arial. There we go. You'll notice that you can also apply different weights. So I can go with bold, or I can apply Arial Black, for example. Let's select both of these and start to align them. Notice there the basic alignment from side to side. Here we have centering. Using the transformation, I can start to adjust the scale to taste. When I release, it'll redraw as a vector file. The word grill is a little bit spaced too far away, so using leading, I could adjust the space between the top line and the bottom line. And with tracking here, we can space that out a little bit more. There we go. And let's make it fancy. We'll add the E. So as you can see there, pretty straightforward. Now you can adjust the text box. If it gets too small, it'll cut off the line. But I did that because it makes it easier to position. Now with the text layer selected, I can go to the Align panel. If you don't see it, it's under the Window menu. And I'll align this horizontally and vertically to the composition. Now, to make this a little bit easier to read, let's add a backdrop. Layer, New, Solid. And you can use the eyedropper here to sample a color from the comp. I'll go with this really dark maroon. And click OK. Let's put that behind the text layer, and then we can scale it, S for scale. I'm going to ungang the link here. This way I can control the horizontal scaling versus the vertical scaling independently. There we go. I like this, but I want to mix it together a little bit. So from the modes here, I'll change this to a blending mode like multiply. That starts to mix things. T for opacity, and I can blend it by adjusting the opacity there. And that works quite nicely. Let's also put just a little blur on that from the effects menu. We'll do a Gaussian blur, repeating the edge pixel, and just soften that edge a little bit. So if we zoom in here, I'll just uncheck repeat edge pixel. And let's make sure that we turn off. We'll go to full quality here and turn off adaptive resolution. So now as we adjust, it'll snap into place and redraw that soft edge. S for scale, I'm just going to scale that a little bit wider. All right. As you see, we were able to work with text. It's pretty straightforward. The key here is to just work with the text tool itself, and you'll find controls much like other apps, the ability to adjust the point size, the leading, the tracking, etc. If you dig into the More area here, you'll find other options like ligatures and other advanced changes that you can add to the text as needed. I'm going to hide that for now, but it's pretty much the same text panel as every other Adobe tool. Once you've laid out your text, After Effects makes it easy to explore text animation with a wealth of presets. These are just meant to be starting points, and they're easy to further customize. I've opened up the next project, and let's take a look at Animate End. Here, you see it does a little burn-on effect. Pretty simple. Well, let's take a look. Open up the word Animate. I'm going to double-click on the text here, and we'll go with the E for grill. Let's just tweak that size slightly. That looks good. And now we can browse our animations. I'll go to Windows, Effects, and Presets. It opens up a panel down here, and if you choose the animation presets, you'll find the category of text. Now, with that selected, there's a wealth of options. What you can do is actually click here and choose to browse those presets. This will launch Adobe Bridge and show you the presets. If you navigate over to Bridge here, you'll see the preset category. You can go to Text and have a look. Don't double click on these, but if you single click, you can see a little preview animation here of what they look like. Lots of options. Just click to play and you'll see what they look like. Now, you can browse these, and I'm going to go with this organic category here and have a look. A lot of cool ones. Let's try multi-line. Not bad. Let's try this one here. "3D Resolve Position In." That's kind of cool. "3D Flutter In Random." I like that one too. So as you can see, there's quite a bit. Flutter from left. I like that. Once you find one you like, you can come back here and just grab it. Let's do 3D Flutter In from left. And I'll drag and drop that onto the text. Now when I press play, you see the animation. Remember though, you can enable options like frame blending. Just turn it on for the layer and then globally. Now the text takes on a much better feeling. It's pretty cool. It's able to actually land and creates a very cool effect. There we go. Not bad. You can see that, and if you twirl this down, you can actually see all of the different animations. So there's the text, and I've got two animators in play. We're going to work with these here in a moment, but what I'm going to do is actually push this a little bit in the Z space forward. Take it to 100. Now look at the difference. The letters start bigger and fall into place, which is pretty cool. All right, let's keep exploring those customization options. The animation properties of text can be tweaked. What you do is set a starting position and an end state, and After Effects will do the animation in between. Previously, we started to animate our text here and have it fall into place. I like that. Remember, make sure that motion blur is turned on. In fact, let's go to the composition settings here and increase that to 360 so the blurs are a little bit more present. I like that. I'm going to keep this at full quality though, so I can really judge things. And let's make sure that we have adaptive resolution off. So as I drag, it'll have to refresh, but we don't lose quality. All right, down here we have our animators, and these are the different properties. This first animator has a range selection. Well, what that does is it's selecting all of the text to none of the text. So at this end state here, the range selector has moved through and has deselected the text. If we take a look here at the property, watch the offset there. See? It's the offset value that slides it through. That's what's creating the animation. So if I come in here and take a look at the starting position, let's push this out a little bit more, 500. I like that. More of a transformation. Additionally, if we go to the second option here for the animator number 2, you'll see that this one's applying some wiggle. So we can apply a little bit more. Let's look at the scale here. And we'll tell it to start with 1,000. So there's more scale, and the letters start bigger as they come into play. I like it. Now let's add another animation property. So from our animators list here, I'm going to add another property. You see we have a lot of changes here. Ability to skew, change color, stroke, etc. I'm going to go with blur and tell it to start with a stronger blur of 20. Now the text is blurrier beyond just the motion blur. And as it comes into play, it focuses. I like it. And looking at this here, in general, it's working. But I want to look at these animations one more time. Animator 1 and Animator 2. Now we have our range selection, and we can tweak this. Under Advanced, it's currently doing everything left to right. I'm going to tell it to randomize. And let's do that on both animators. Range selector, Advanced, randomize order. Now watch what happens. The characters don't just come in from left to right. Instead, they're more complex. Let's have that. Let's play that from the beginning. N. Now that's close, but I don't think I want them both to be random. So let's undo for a second. And we'll turn off the randomize order here for this first one. Have a look. Not bad. I think that works. We just need the random on for one of the two effects. Let's watch it in real time. N to mark the end of the work area. I like it. And globally, I can still control the text. So T for opacity. And let's just put a little fade up here as it comes into play. Just a gentle global fade. So now all the characters fade up as a group as they land. There we go. Finished. Remember, there's a lot more animation presets that you could check out in that menu and a lot of settings to tweak. This is just to get you started. But these do work really well for creating both simple and complex effects. So far, all the text we've been working with was created in After Effects, but you can actually seamlessly move text from a Photoshop document into After Effects as well and keep it fully editable. Let's start here with this PSD layer, and I'll select the text layer. Currently, this is raster data, so as I scale it up, it really falls apart. But with that layer selected, I can choose Layer, Create, and then simply choose Editable Text. Now it converts to vector text. If we were to scale now, notice how it stays clean. That's pretty cool. Now, if you want to choose where this animates from, don't forget about the Pan Behind tool. This allows you to adjust the anchor point where you want it. So if I were to scale, now it scales from the middle of the text. See? All right. When this text is live, you can do all sorts of things with it. So, for example, you can audition different fonts, looking at any of the ones that you happen to have loaded. Find something that works for you. Let's do this grotesque font here. There we go. I could adjust the point size. Change the overall box. Let's double click here, make this a little bigger, and tighten up the leading. There we go. And remember, it's live text, so if you put the cursor in between, Option left or right arrow will let you hand kern the spacing. Some fonts are well kerned, some need a little work, like this T and I need to be tightened up a little bit. Same thing here with the F and O. This gives you the flexibility to refine the kerning to taste. All right, let's put a little bit more leading in between. It looks good. You can also do options like change your blend mode and even finesse. So if I want to, from the effects and blur here, from effects and presets here, I just typed in the word blur. Let's go ahead and mouse through. And I can try something like blur in by word and drag and drop. There we go. And it comes into play. Very cool. Notice how it builds. So what's great here is whether you start in After Effects or start in another Adobe app, it's really easy to bring in Photoshop files and take them so much further working with After Effects.